speak to beginning people, mostly small companies, about social media, and they'll watch this little overview of all the different platforms. It's kind of what they're basically about. Oh yeah, we need to jump all into that. And I tell them all the time, well, before you just go out jumping in there, you need to have a goal in mind. And usually the goal is, well, I want to make a bunch of money. That's not directly an achievable goal through social media. You really have to backtrack a little bit, and I'll ask, like, well, what would have to happen for you to make a lot of money? Well, I have to be able to charge more. I have to get more clients. Okay, now that's still not really an achievable goal on social media, I don't think. So backtrack again. What would have to happen for you to, be considered an authority, or what, to achieve these goals? Maybe be considered authority. Maybe be considered innovative. Okay, now you're actually getting into turf where social media can do you some good. And that's why the ROI is so hard to measure, because you're able to achieve something to ultimately achieve making a bunch of money. And it's very difficult to track that stuff back. And that's the same thing with Twitter. Why do you want to tweet? What are you going to tweet about? What's your Twitter plan for your business?
Yeah, I think a lot of people see Twitter as an extension of marketing. I don't. I see it as an extension of branding. Branding's a long haul approach to marketing, and that's, I think, what you should view it as. It's a way to engage with your target audience. And just to speak to that a little bit further in the idea of strategy, no one is ever going to look at your product because you want them to. They're going to look at and potentially evangelize your product because you're doing something for them that's something they want, that makes them look good or gives them something of value. So personally, that's my approach to the long haul approach to the tweets that we post is, what value are we providing? So we'll look at social mavens and say, well, we want these people to be seen as being authorities with technology or something that's going to provide value. So we're going to give them the means to do so. And on occasion, we'll even bribe them by saying, look, if it so happens that you post a good review, we're going to want to promote that good review. I mean, that's shrewd, but it's just good business.
It doesn't happen on accident.
Right, exactly, yeah. And so you every time you do this, if you're doing it from a business perspective, I think you have to recognize that there is a transaction taking place.
Yeah, and especially for people who aren't familiar with any of the social media or kind of how the etiquette works. So I get these small business owners come back to me a month later and say, I did what you said. I started a Twitter account and I'm tweeting my offer left, right, and sideways, and nobody's biting. And matter of fact, my followers are not shrinking. They don't understand that whole concept of that give first. I'll do it. I'll tweet out articles. I'll retweet things that are interesting. Every now and then I'll put in a shameless plug and hope that I'll be forgiven because of the other stuff that I might have sent out there that hopefully somebody found of value.
The unmarketing guy, he says that we all have a limited amount of time, right? And I blog way more than I tweet. But when I jump on for 15 minutes, I'll retweet 2 really important things, 2 ads, so I'll reply to 2 people because I want to engage, and then 1 new thing. And that takes 15 minutes.
Formula.
A formula.
Wow.
5 things, 15 minutes, and I do it 3 times a day.
As far as strategies and tactics go, this is a good guy to follow with that, by the way, because he does add value. And as you mentioned, adding value gives you permission, right? So if you do any marketing over that, the ratio has been stated at 7 to 1. So if you're going to tweet 7 things of value, you get 1 freebie. You can then promote. I don't know how true that is, but it's worked for me for a while.
How many people would like to ban auto DMs to new followers?
Damn right.
I don't even look at direct messages anymore because it's all that's in there. Hey, thanks for following me. I really checked you out closely. I thought you might want to join my MLM downline. Give me a break. And it's just the same stuff.
I'm glad you stopped doing that, by the way.
Yeah. Well, nobody stopped doing the downline wasn't growing, so I quit.
I don't need any more soap, thanks.
They made a Twitter feature. They discouraged that, and so but there are tools out there like Social 2 and things like that. Do they even still do that?
I don't know.
That let you do that, and so the people who've gone that extra step to auto DM you are doing something outside of Twitter's native ecosystem to do, and these days it's kind of a sign that they're kind of
desperate,
scammy or desperate or
or lazy.
Lazy.
I do that. I've got.
Iffy.
I went into the Yahoo pipe, pulled down a feed for a subject that people that I think are following me are interested in, and I have it pull those and create a new feed to go out through tweet feed, like one a day. You know, one a day, a tweet for me isn't for me, and that's great. And mine is on public speaking, and so once a day a tweet will go out from somebody else that's just randomly grabbed. And then every now and then you'll look at that Twitter account and you'll see something like, why would anybody ever hire a public speaker at public speaking? Okay, well that didn't serve my purpose. I'm saying this, you know. Oops. So you never know what's going to come when you do those automated, especially if you're grabbing other people that you think are interesting tweets and retweeting them automatically. You don't really know what they're saying.
Right.
But all your people are thinking that, hey, Steve thought this was interesting.
And unless you're like an organization like a news organization like New York Times or something, to just have an automated feed of just something like you import your RSS feed into your Twitter account, which is possible through like Twitter feed, which is a service that would do that. If you're going to do that, then people aren't going to they're not going to talk back to you, they're not going to interact with you or engage with you because they just think you're a bot. They don't think you're a person. So if you're going to try to maintain like a personal presence on Twitter, and you want your RSS feed in there, then you need to make that extra effort to talk to people and retweet things and post other interesting things so you don't look totally self-serving. Like, just come click my links, you know. 'Cause Twitter actually did an interesting presentation last week at Nokia World where the guy got on stage, Twitter's
It would have been great if you had seen that before I did this panel.
somebody from their business development or somewhere, and he said Twitter is not a social network, and he made it very clear that Twitter's new direction is like a news resource. So
The new dig.
Of course.
Yeah.
The new dig, yeah.
So Twitter as a company is kind of changing their direction from what they, I think, initially launched as, hey, we're social, we're very social, because they found that a lot of people don't want to participate socially on Twitter. They just want to go as a passive user and not even sign up for an account and just read Twitter, because, you know, news organizations and celebrities and you know, local companies and everything are sort of using Twitter, and they want to know what's happening on Twitter, but they don't necessarily want to think they're interesting enough to have a Twitter account or want to take the time
I'll
to
tell you what,
participate.
I've made a mistake in Twitter that probably a lot of people, particularly new to it, do, and that is I thought that, you know what, the value of this is going to be to get as many followers as I could possibly get. And I made an effort to get followers and followers and followers. I still don't have a whole lot, but over the course of a few months, I got maybe a couple of thousand people following me. I have no idea who these people are. They have no idea who I am. Most of them follow me because I follow them. And now I've got this whole stream of information from complete strangers
That you don't even want to look
that I don't
at.
give a damn about.
Yeah.
And
Don't worry, they feel the same way.
It's
Yeah.
handicapped. You're just talking about my Twitter.
No, I'm talking about
But
in
it's
general.
handicapped.
In general, no, we all have those.
3,000
Yeah.
on both sides, you're like,
Right.
why am I-
Why am I on these? No, the general rule for that one I've heard recently was, you know, name 50 of your closest friends right now. Who has 50 friends you can name off the top of your head besides Peter? You know, I mean, if you can't name 10% of your Twitter feed as real people that you know, how valuable is that information to you personally? You know, so now is that social? No, I don't know 50 of these people. You know, I don't know 2,600 of these people that are following me, but they follow me because I, you know, whatever the auto DMs and whatnot.
For me to use Twitter as a
So you want to
user
reciprocate.
and to,
Right.
and to get information for myself is now impossible because I have a whole
Well,
bunch of junk
no,
that I'm
it's
following.
not.
Well, wait a minute. But
You need a
But
list.
I still need all these people, yeah, but I still need all these people because I want to be able to push my stuff out to complete strangers. You know, and hope that they push it out, but in order to get that network so big that I'm pushing a message out all over the
You're
place.
trying to push your message out to complete strangers?
Sure. Complete strangers are.
That's what
people
marketing
that
is.
Currently know me.
Yeah.
But the people that already know me, I don't need to tweet to. They already know me.
Well, for what it's worth, in the office, we have an account, and I personally have an account, and I've literally taken both tactics. We have @Tourist, which is shameless, and we're promoting every ounce of publicity that we get, and then we have @Spark Labs, where I show what my wife and I did for vacation.
Tourist doesn't send any links to information, right? It's just strictly promotions about tourists.
No, I mean, it's talking about our product, but it's an example where we're building as many friends as possible, right? And then there's the one where, you know, we have Spark Labs, which is me, has, I don't know, 200 followers, and I'm only following 45 people or something. So that's kind of rude. I'm not reciprocating. A lot of people follow and I don't follow back. But for me, this is actually something I look at. I don't even look at the tourist one. I don't want to, because that's just noise. I think a lot of people are doing that. I think it's evidence to, and you know, I've heard the same thing from you, Linda. You have multiple accounts.
Yep.
I think it's evidence to the same sort of consideration that Twitter's having right now, which is, are we a marketing platform or a social platform? I think they're gonna be both. I think the problem is people are gonna start to recognize that you're either playing in the space for one purpose or it's for another one, and we're gonna have to be more discriminating about who we accept.
Well, I think there's, not to jump in on this panel, but.
Do.
You know,
on the panel.
well, there's so many different strategies to Twitter. It's not just, you know, getting on there, and there's not set rules just for businesses or just for personal accounts. There's, you know, we're always going to go back and forth. I think it's all. I think it's mostly about connecting with somebody. And I hate to, you know, a Twitter account that just posts out press releases and stuff like that is, I don't know how effective that is, because you're not really connecting with anybody.
Well, the folks that we're going after are Twitter users who do a lot of publicity about Apple products. So it's working, but my point is it's working in a very different way.
Right.
Well, and you probably have to include certain keywords in your tweets.
Yeah, you use more hashtags there than you would use if you're just talking about your life.
Right.
Right.
I would
Get
totally
people to
agree.
search.
It's just like a language. I mean, we can't say there's a rule for how you're supposed to use English.
Right.
You can't do that.
Yeah, like I follow a lot of, you know, quote bots just to get like news. You know, I'll follow
Right.
like CNN and you know.
Well, I've noticed, you know, what I do
newspapers
anyway
and things.
is I'll do that, but I'll do it under an account that, you know, under a separate account, just because I don't want to have that littering my day.
Well, to
But
me,
there-
like the news isn't litter though. You know, like it's like
Right.
even though it's automated, like I follow a lot of, you know, quote you would say bots or Twitter feeds of just, you know, press releases or whatever. You know, to me that's not litter because I use Twitter as a tool to get information in addition to having like social connections on it. And so I break up my my
Yeah.
main Twitter stream is I have followed people back who I may not really care about their tweets because I want them to be able to DM me. If and the only way somebody can direct message you is if you're following them. So you kind of like if you want people to be able to direct message you, you have to follow them. So I don't typically look at my full feed of Twitter because I follow like thousands.
Yeah.
And it's noisy, so I made special lists for the things I'm interested in, and sometimes the people on my list, I don't even follow them, I've just listed them. So like I'll follow, you know, since I'm into technology, I follow like, you know, Apple news here, and I follow Microsoft news here, I follow Twitter news here, I
So
follow
if you
Google
filtered,
news here.
if you filtered your list down of all these thousand people, people that you're really interested in engaging,
Yeah.
what is the value of all those other people that are connected to you?
Well,
How
the
are you
value
using
is
those?
like maybe they're the CEO of some startup
So they're
that
hearing
I
your
want,
message.
or they're a PR person that I want them to be able to reach out to me privately if they have news that they want to. Hey, you know, we're launching a new product, blah blah blah. They don't need to be like adding me with that because then I would maybe miss a scoop or something.
It
Because I'm
is
basically a
ironic.
reporter, you know, like so like I want them to have access to me through Twitter. I don't necessarily need to see their tweet stream, which is all about their kids and their baby and, you know, whatever, like,
Well,
I don't care.
The DM stream is,
Yeah.
it seems like it's almost as big as the other one.
I don't have an
It's just
issue with
constant.
that.
Yeah, I don't either.
No.
I see.
Well, these are the tips I was looking for.
Yeah. No, I mean, people tend to, like, email me or call me if they have, like, something that they wanna, like, hey, we're launching something and
Call
we
you?
need to know about it. Like, through
Phones?
Phone?
What?
Like, through Google Voice or something.
Good answer, good answer.
Thanks, Ryan.
I live in a slightly different world, perhaps, than some of you guys, but like, you know, a lot of my Twitter is you know, for work-related purposes, you know.
What is your?
I'm a writer, a reporter for ReadWriteWeb.com, which is a technology news site that's syndicated by the New York Times.
I think one of the, just on the high volume streams, I think one of the things is just to get over the consideration that you have to read it all.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
I think some,
I don't read any
some
of it.
people, they worry too much about the noise, and I'm like, at the end of the day, it's a river, you just dip your toe when you feel like it, and the rest of it, you filter it out, you know,
Yeah.
and you just don't worry about reading it all.
Yeah, 'cause right now, if anybody wants to reach me, don't bother DMing because I will never see that. I don't even
Good
look
to
at it.
know.
Yeah, but
Can I
it
ask a
depends on your
question?
field.
Just, go ahead.
it depends on your field. Like, I'm in tech, telecom, and
Big field.
yeah, but all the VoIP guys that, I mean, I'm on there mainly just to, I blog a lot. I blog for a magazine. So I need, like you, I have to have access to every startup.
Yeah.
So my DM, DM has pretty much replaced email for a lot of people. It's annoying as shit because I'm not on Twitter all day, but I mean, that's how they choose to talk. And that's
Where you
how I
gotta
have no choice but to be on that platform so they can get me that way.
So this was my question to the, if I could just get a show of hands to people who have maybe 2 primary Twitter accounts, like personal and business, because,
At least.
yeah, I mean, probably more, but I mean 2 maybe primary ones, because in my field, when I educate eye doctors about social media, I tell all of them to do that, because they have 2 identities. They have themselves as a doctor, and then they have their practice, and I recommend that they have both, because they're going to, it's going to be audience segmentation. There's going to be some people who are interested in them and some people that are interested in what their practice says. My question to the group is, in your industries, do you feel like that's a good idea? Or do you feel like that limits what you can do if you have to have 2 separate accounts?
One of the things that I have determined in at least my industry, which is real estate, is that transparency is very, very key. And I think that's important in a lot of industries today. And I think if I segment into 2 separate identities, because I want to create my own personal brand, I think I'm losing the context, and I'm losing the gist of who I am as a person. And I think that having the combination, I just have 1 Twitter account, and that's all I want, because I don't want to segment my followers. I want them to know me as who I am, and know me as a real estate agent as well. And I think that key goes to transparency, and I think it's just being prudent in terms of what you're tweeting. I mean, I see people out there that tweet these automated things, and it becomes noise and spam. I think the key is your content, just as in your blog, and it has to be relevant and meaningful. And just throwing out links and throwing out what I would say is garbage is a total waste of time.
And I hear a lot about people that do that same thing. They kind of use it to convey personal information so people get to know who the person is in addition with what it is they do.
I was gonna say, I think it can still be personal and have it broken out. I mean, if you're in real estate, you are your business.
I am my business. That's exactly correct.
You cannot really break that up successfully, I don't think, very well.
People are hiring you.
Well, and that's
Yeah,
with
as a
most
person.
sales-related industries. You know, I don't know anything about cappuccino and Java and all that. I'm not a techie, but I do know, you know, my business as it is a social business, and you know, it's interesting to see that the Twitter is taking a more of a news-like approach, and so that might mean as an agent, I need to take maybe a news-like approach in terms of the information that I impart. But I just don't want to throw stuff out there just for the sake of being on the stream. I want it to be relevant and meaningful as well.
And see, accounts like the one that you're hosting, and that would represent what I have for Spark Labs, those are the most valuable in my opinion. And so, I mean, I applaud you and anyone else that does that, because I would even posit that even beyond sales-related industries, anyone who's willing to follow you is probably not going to be offended by knowing a little bit about you professionally and personally. I mean, we're all a little bit exhibitionists, we're all a little bit voyeurist, and if you're going to participate in this dialogue, a dialogue that outside of direct messages is public anyway, then why not allow people to get to know you a little bit better? I think the problem is that there's so much noise out there now that if you want to be effective as a sales tool, what I found is you really have to play in both camps. You kind of have to have your dirty dealings, and you have to do what you're doing, which I very much agree with.
Yeah, yours is kind of challenging because your business of a realtor is that people have a short window when they need a realtor. I need one now. I didn't need one last week. I won't need one in a month. I may not need one for years. So
Well,
you're sending out real estate related information to people who only need that information for a short window. It's always
Exactly.
different people.
Well, and that's where, you know, having, as you had stated earlier, having a clear goal, and because if you're in it for the long
What
run.
is your clear goal?
My clear goal is to become a brand within my industry and within my area, and so as a brand in the long term, I hopefully will generate, you know, business leads, referrals, whatever it is that I want to accomplish. So it's a long-term goal versus a short-term goal. And so what I've learned is the power of hash marks, because I didn't realize how powerful they could be, because I want to be the area, considered the area expert for Tampa real estate. So,
And that's the hashtag you use, Tampa Real Estate.
I use Tampa Real Estate and the hashtag Tampa, because what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm also following people that are have information that are related to Tampa. So this way I can impart that, whether it be Tampa history, whether it be Tampa tourists, whether it be whatever it is that's associated with Tampa.
And you
The
don't
hashtags
serve
are
any
fun.
links? You don't put any links in your Twitter stream?
Occasionally I do.
Because I think that would be like valuable, like as somebody who's an expert on real estate, you know, like if you were occasionally commenting on some article about home prices in some part of town
I
that
will
you're
do
familiar
something
with,
like that, absolutely.
like that would actually be something valuable that people who are not necessarily looking for a house may just subscribe to you just to stay informed about, you know, what's going on with the housing market.
Well,
I think
and I'll
that's the
do that,
trick
and
is
I'll
that you're sending out
retweet relevant
information.
industry experts as
So
well.
you're sending out information that isn't that narrow, but you know,
Mhm.
still builds your brand, but it's stuff that a broader audience can use, whether they're in the market or not.
Exactly.
And like as far as like dentists, right?
Optometrist.
Optometrist, okay, I
Head,
remember,
no.
sorry. So like I can't imagine why me as a consumer would subscribe to like my eye doctor's Twitter feed unless there was something of value in it that was beyond just, hey, we have a sale going on.
And that's
you
the
know,
challenge
like,
he has.
You know,
Well,
like-
that's why, this is why I have two, and this is what I
Yeah.
recommend to people. It allows people to choose, they can follow me personally,
Yeah.
find out more about what I'm doing, some of it's in the office and some of it's with my kids.
Yeah.
And they can follow my office and find out what my office is doing. They can find out about updates and visual science and those kinds of things.
That I would
They
follow,
can
'cause
choose,
it's interesting.
they can follow both,
Yeah.
or they can choose one. If there's somebody who's in the eye care field that doesn't care about my kids, they can just follow my office.
But let's get back to some tips, because that's kind of the point of this thing. And one of the ones that I would give, that I've learned the hard way, is before you just create a hashtag and start using it, would be to look and make sure somebody's not already using it for a different purpose. For example, I was promoting a series of workshops that I was calling Deep Dive. I thought, okay, great, I was gonna hashtag Deep Dive. And then one day I went and looked at, did a search on Deep Dive, and apparently some lady basically owns this hashtag that reports I'm meditating 12:17 a.m. I'm meditating 12:47. Tweet after tweet of when she's meditating is what's on that stream. So I'm sending people over to do a search on that.
Well, she's dominating the use of it, so it's just.
She's the only one kind of using that hashtag, so now every now and then I'm meditating. Come to my workshop. I'm meditating. That's a very effective. You probably should have researched the hashtag first, see
There's a
who else was
website,
using
isn't it,
it.
like hashtags.org? Yeah, what the hashtag, that's the one I'm trying to remember.
The hashtag.
What the hashtag.
There's a tip.
And then you can find out what a hashtag is and what it means. It's also handy if you see a weird one popping up in your stream and you're like, the heck is that?
Well,
Although I think Twitter's linking to it.
like a lot of times I don't even use Twitter itself, twitter.com. You know, I have a tool, you know, TweetDeck and you know, Hootsuite, and there's hundreds of little apps like that.
That's awesome.
Well, I like
And
TweetDeck
I'm gonna
because
have
I
another
can-
tip then, which
because
is
I
another
can
mistake I
I can
made.
follow a hashtag on there and it'll stream that hashtag. Which
Okay,
is
another mistake I made when I was putting all this stuff together, you can link all this stuff, which is cool. So if I do an update on LinkedIn, it automatically goes out on my Twitter feed, automatically shows up on Facebook, and vice versa, and all these things. And you go to TweetDeck, and you send out an update, and suddenly you notice it's shown up 4 times over here in your feed, because you weren't really paying attention to who's linking and which one it's forwarding to. And I'm convinced all of a sudden one day I'm going to send something else, going to go in an endless loop and just continue to send out the same message hundreds of times. But whenever I do a blog post, it shows up in my Facebook feed 4 times, the same thing. So think about linking this stuff
I
together.
think it
Unless anybody knows
depends
how to
on what it
link.
is though, because I think there, like for me sometimes though, like if I saw somebody's tweet and then I'm on Facebook and there it is in my news feed again and there it is in LinkedIn, it's kind of like, well, do I really need to follow that person in all these places? Because it's a little bit over the top. I think
If you have a lot of duplicated followers, maybe in those areas.
What?
But you do that. You face tweet.
Face
No, you
tweet.
don't. Not anymore.
New word, love it.
Oh, because I see your stream on TweetDeck
you're
and
talking
then
about Long Beach?
Facebook.
I
Yeah.
hate
That's
when
different.
Oh.
Twitter is in someone's Facebook feed.
I
Just
stopped-
use them different.
Yeah,
I stopped
I agree.
doing
Yeah.
that because
I agree.
The thing is, the Facebook community, they don't like the amount of noise that Twitter can put out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
Please
just-
don't do that.
Well, I signed up for something when I first started to do something like that, and I can't remember what it is, so I can't turn it off. And it's not telling me where it's coming from, so.
TweetDeck, you gotta go into the wrench and then shut it off.
I don't know if it's coming from there.
Well, Twitter has.
Network blogs will send it all over the place.
Well, Facebook has,
Facebook has an
an-
integration.
yeah, an app for that, but the thing is, Facebook's interface sucks so bad, it might be really hard to find it.
You know, so you create a
Yeah.
post in
Yeah.
WordPress and you publish it. Now, so that goes under your tweet feed. That shows up over in your Facebook, as well as network blogs now is grabbing that thing and dropping it in there. And then it's showing up and doing the same thing. So you got a lot of duplicate material out there. Now, I don't know what percentage of the people that I have as connections, friends, and followers are in common. Those people are probably getting annoyed that they're seeing the same thing pop up in multiple places. Probably worse if they're seeing it in multiple places multiple times. And you cringe when that happens because you know how easy it is for somebody to say, oh, that's just too annoying, and unfollow, and you start losing these people. You talked about listserv.
Wow.
And
Twitter
just be
lists are
totally
like-
selfish, I'd like to learn more about
Twitter lists are the killer feature of Twitter in my opinion. Like, I can't live without them. Like, because it allows you to like you said, your mainstream is just cluttered with people you don't know or don't even care about necessarily. But if you follow people back because you want to return follow so that they can direct message you, which is sort of one of the weird things about Twitter I don't like. Like, why can't anyone direct message you? But I guess that's to keep
It's
spam
smart,
out.
they're
Yeah.
basically introducing a new email system by
Yeah.
forcing you to do that.
Exactly. So, so if you do that, then you want to divvy up your stream of just crap into different areas. You could have a personal list of like actual
Individual
friends.
piles of crap?
Yes.
It's more like you manage
Yeah.
your reading just like you would manage the tweeting side of it, right?
Right, right.
Because, you know, this whole like, you can't sit there for 8 hours a day and try to constantly tweet and respond, because who's got time to do that? You've got,
Right.
everyone's got finite amount of time they can put it into this, so make it useful. Same thing with the reading.
Right.
You know, keep it effective.
So you can just go into your you know, your Twitter account, and after you create, you just on the right hand side, still in new Twitter, on the right hand side, you know, create new list. They just launched a whole new interface for new Twitter, so some of you guys probably have it, some of you don't. But the new Twitter is great. It's a little more
Big.
cluttered, but it's more like a real web app. Like, you don't necessarily need to use TweetDeck anymore.
How many people in here actually use Twitter.com as their main?
Well, one of them.
I heard a statistic yesterday that 70% of tweets come from
Yeah,
Twitter.com
most people
directly.
still use the
The,
website.
the new website really is a viable contender for
Yeah,
being a.
I ditched TweetDeck for
I
it, totally.
just like the columns, I have a hard time not having
I
columns.
do, I like them too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so handy. But like, if you're used to old Twitter, which is really kind of simple,
Mhm.
you might get a little overwhelmed at first. So take some time to like get to know it.
Do we have any tech develop, I suspect we have a ton here, but software developers in the room? Okay, anyway,
One.
I just, one. So
One
this-
that
This
admits
goes
it.
out to you. No.
One that admits it.
I run a software development shop, and one of the things that I've been thinking about, because we're fascinated with data visualization, and we have a client where we're doing, for example, an ontology viewer. I think that lists.
An oncology?
Ontology, so it's a way of visualizing correlations between terms or a semantic engine that will allow you to view relationships. I guess it's a semantic ontology viewer. The point is.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. Double
Site to
check. I'm sorry?
I think I need a site to understand that site.
Right. Well, here's the point. At some point in the future, it'd
That
be
could
very
be hard to market.
I haven't actually shared it yet.
A tag cloud would be like a basic ontology.
And what I'm actually saying is so you've got all this noise in the list. At some point in the future, it would be very nice to see correlations between things of people that you follow, sort of central themes, so that instead of just saying they're in this bucket and I want to follow this bucket, you could say, oh wow, a lot of the people I'm responding to are talking about a certain thing, sort of your own micro cloud. Just thought that would be interesting. I don't think that exists today.
Is that kind of what the hashtagging is about, though?
Hashtagging is You're looking for a specific word, but a semantic engine can look for related terms and
This is more
You need
discovery.
to figure out what
Like a hashtag
what your
that's
friends are
good.
talking about.
what your friends are talking about, or what's of interest from the noise that kind of fills your list.
The little trending topics of your own bucket.
Exactly, yeah.
A personalized trend.
Yeah, more relative to you.
No, that's a good
Kind of
idea.
like Apple Genius,
Yeah, I guess it would be sort of like that.
gives you related
Well,
things that you
Twitter
might
is
be
doing recommendations of people now. When over on the right hand side, it's really smart. Like it'll recommend followers and people, accounts that you could follow, or you could like click a user account, see what they're all about, and add them to a list. Like the
You're
cool thing
using
about
Twitter
lists
for
is you
crowd
don't have
savings,
to
right?
follow people.
Not
actually to a
personally.
list.
Right.
Now you have a crowd.
So I'm not sure
crowd
if everyone
savings.
realizes
Yeah.
that.
How does that work?
You know, not very well.
That's all it is. It's
I mean, I don't personally do it, but I pay attention to the analytics, and so we've focused more time on Facebook. It seems to generate
So basically,
more
as
traffic,
crowd
more
savings
sales.
just spits out your daily
There's
offer.
one for each city.
And it just spits out your daily offer every day.
Pretty much. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I'm kind of here listening.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out why it's not working.
Well, when you first
Exactly.
launched, you were doing a lot more on Twitter, a lot more personal kind of.
We're kind of retooling the whole strategy around that. We're bringing in some consultants to help us define kind of what our voice is to try to get better. We know that there's a lot of potential there. We just haven't.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about initially, you know, yours is clearly a robot. I mean, you're sending out
Well, she's not.
at crowds,
That's what
but
she-
it appears,
Respectively.
well, it appears though, because there's no
Right.
personality to it, it's here's today's offer, today's
Yeah.
offer, today's offer. You know, and that's a tough one to follow.
Right.
Yeah, but that's why people are following you. They're not following you.
Yeah, and so I have more
Yeah.
problems when they're putting out things that are totally unrelated or political. Like, hey, we're not a news site. We're a deal site.
Well, I mean,
I
that
think
goes
I would
back to
follow a
what
deal
your
site where,
person,
like,
what your purpose
automated
of
if I was interested in
Twittering,
getting
right?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, it goes back to the purpose. I mean, there's probably, I wouldn't even segment it, the types of Twitter accounts. There's your news Twitter account, there's your personal Twitter account, there's a deals Twitter account.
You're hybrid.
There's all kinds that.
His account has a specific call to action, which is to click the link to go to the site, check out the deal, and hopefully sign up.
Right,
for
and
the
there's
deal.
probably hundreds or thousands of those types of Twitter accounts. And people that would follow your Twitter feed
Or follow it
accept
for that reason.
They accept that and are following it for that reason. They know that they're gonna get that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're, and there's Twitter feeds that only exist to provide customer service for questions, et cetera, et cetera.
I think the problem is they all suffer from the same thing. They may say, there's some good deals, I'm gonna follow this person. Chances are that same person said, someone else had good deals, I'm gonna follow this person, and has done that many times. And inevitably, they're suffering from the same pain that we're all feeling, which is that we don't actually wanna read any of it anymore. We had a good intent every time we followed somebody.
Right.
But you add them up and you don't wanna follow any of them anymore.
That's why you put them in lists.
Yeah.
And then when you're
Yeah.
like, I'm looking for a good deal on something, you go to your deals list.
Or if you
see the
actually
current-
use it, I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
the
that's
thing,
a
is
search.
that if you can use it, if you've got a great deal from AirTran or whatever, JetBlue, for example, you
Yeah.
got a good deal from them, you may follow them again because you never know
Right.
when they'll come up with a great deal.
Like when you're ready to travel, you might go to your travel deals list and be like, okay,
I like the
what are
idea
these
of creating
specials?
a list.
Yeah,
I
like
don't, I do
lists
that
are-
not enough.
Peter, I have no idea how we're
I
doing
haven't
that.
used
It's
Twitter for this.
11:40. I don't know how
I'll
long
say,
this was supposed to
however,
be.
if,
Nothing else scheduled, nothing.
if I can use crowd
We can
savings
talk
as an
lunch if you want.
example.
Well, I will tell you this though, lunch was delivered 25 minutes ago.
We're adjourned.
Sorry, 45 minutes ago. So if anybody's hungry,
Well, I was saying, with
You might wanna get-
crowdsavings.com, I mean, like,
are you here for the
if
next
you're
hour?
crowd savings and you
No,
know
we're gonna
that
come to this
people
one,
have
is that
put
right?
you in a
Yeah,
list,
it's the
but
Twitter
you're
talk?
probably in
Yeah.
the same list with Groupon, Living Social, TVO, Deals, all that stuff. I mean, you as crowd savings don't wanna be bundled in there necessarily. I mean, why not?
Well, I don't know why you wouldn't be at that point, but to me, it always feels like Twitter is a personal connection at some point.
That's just how you use it.
It is, and I recognize that there's other ways of doing that, but to
Yeah.
me, it's just, in any kind of marketing, it's connecting with the person you're trying to get to do something. You know, if you're trying to get them to come and buy something from you, you know, people will buy from other people before they'll buy from a nebulous brand. I feel like. And
I very much agree. Personally, I would be fine if tomorrow the tourist Twitter account was just gone. The Spark Labs is the one that I put a lot of effort into, and I think it comes down to a couple of things. I mean, it is as you said earlier, ma'am. It's a reflection of your personal identity. And I mean, because people are going to follow you because you either have interesting observations on life, you're funny, you're providing them links to things that make them look smarter. You know, it's got to be something basic like that. And frankly, this is the most important thing to me. I think there's way too much talk and not enough action. I think if people were doing more and talking less, that Twitter as a whole would be a more valuable platform.
If I could throw a scenario out for you guys, because all of this is overwhelming, thank you. I was going to use other phrases, but that was much better. He was talking about people will buy from an individual before they'll buy from a corporation or something. My wife has come up with an invention, I prototyped it for, we're trying to bring it to market. It's a pedicure pedestal for ladies to do their pedicures at home instead of going to a salon. It sounds like this would be a viable way to get the word out, but...
You mean saying it in a panel?
I'm tweeting it right now.
Ladies in a panel. Some guys might do it too, I don't know.
My brother.
But, yeah, well, it's
gonna
hopefully everybody
metrosexual.
trims it anyway. So, hang on. But is this a viable way to market a product like that?
Well, who's your target audience? How are you gonna find them?
That's
Will
what I'm
they
saying.
read your-
Well, that's where Facebook would come in. I think
Yeah.
when you have a product that no one knows about and you
Right.
can't search for it on Google,
Right.
targeting by demographics is much more powerful and easy to cast a net into
Okay.
a demographic
Mhm.
email
Well,
pages
you know,
for this.
I think, you know,
Then
one of the things that and I do a lot of work for, clients that are trying to get into this. It's got to be part of a strategy, an overall social media strategy. You're not gonna. It's not a silver bullet. You're gonna have to have. I call it defensive social media because, you get your Facebook account, you get your YouTube account, you get all that, just so that other people don't get it. And then at that point, it has to be part of a overall marketing. You have to have the website. You have to have this in order for it to be really successful. You can't just use Twitter.
Well, I'm not expecting to just, we already have the
No,
website.
I get that. I'm not
saying-
trying to critique your.
Well, okay, but what I'm saying is, so, Facebook first.
Oh, I'm not, just my opinion.
Well, that's what I'm looking for.
But
Opinions.
I'm saying,
Well,
if you know who your market is,
I'm a
you're
retired
gonna know
zookeeper,
where they
okay, I know how
are.
to shovel food. That's it. I talk to the animals.
You should have blocked, that's
Yeah, in
I'm sorry,
If you understand who your target market is
Yeah.
and where they hang out, are they Twitter users or are they Facebook
Okay,
users?
I have to understand that.
I think so, and then you can kind of develop your strategy around it, because you could spend a lot of time on Twitter, but if you're not gonna be able to find your audience there and deliver your
So you
message
would
to
find
their
it on
needs,
Facebook.
it might be easier given the demographic tools
Okay.
on
Well, that's
Facebook,
good.
but I'm not saying that is the right answer,
Or
it's just.
maybe
Well,
they want
it's
you
ours.
to.
Right,
I know the-
or maybe it's through mom blogs or salons or, that.
We'll be some lots.
Well, the mom blogs are really strong.
That's not it either.
Chad,
Flagship right now.
I'm kind of curious where your followers come from, because my first thought, if I saw somebody maybe retweeted one of your offers, is it's just more of that noise of an offer with a link, like all the rest, and I might not even look at it. I would think you probably would get more of your followers from other places where they've learned about what you do first and decide to follow you. Would that be true? Or do you get-
Most of our transactions come from our email list that we build organically, through advertising, word of mouth, through the viral nature of the deals themselves. So,
By the way, your emails go into my junk folder for some reason.
okay, good to know.
Yeah.
5 minutes. I gotta go get out lunch, but you only got about 5 minutes, then send you over to lunch.
All right, well, our last panelist just walked in, so we're gonna put him on the spot. Elliot.
I've been here for 5 minutes.
I saw you walk in.
Yeah.
Any Twitter tips that you could share with the crowd here?
I don't know what you got covered.
Okay.
No one's mentioned that you can do, they have a great search engine, and that you can actually, once you create a search, there's even like a positive tone or negative tone within it, and then you can RSS that search itself.
Positive tone, negative tone. I haven't heard about that.
Haven't heard that.
Yeah, it'll return results that were of positive nature or negative nature. And then you can create an RSS feed of that query.
I mean, that you could segregate and say, I want to look at the positive, or I want to look at the
Sure.
negative?
So I want to, like you said, a defensive strategy would be make sure that nobody's saying anything bad about my business within 10 miles. You can also do it geo-specific within 10 miles.
Nearby.
It's lightly location aware. Sometimes some Arkansas gets in there occasionally, but
It's like the Twitter unlike filter.
but yeah, I mean, and that query can run, and you can even have it hit your phone.
What tool are you using?
Just twitter.com. Do a Google search for like advanced search. It's kind of like a hidden URL, I think.
Oh, you're using Twitter search.
Yeah, just
Advanced search in Twitter?
There's
Within
also,
Twitter,
there's
and
also
then-
like engines, like
Sure.
specifically, like
I heard
Wagner
it was
X
called
from
Platonic.
Twins,
Uh-huh.
is it Twins? Something like that. Wagner, the PR people who do Microsoft PR have a engine, I think it's called Twins. TWENDS or something. But just Google like Wagner Edstrom Twitter analysis, and then like you can put in any term, and it like will show you the percentage of like positive or negative sentiment too. And there's others too that kind of do it maybe more robustly.
Does anybody else think they've got an astonishing revolutionary Twitter tip that nobody has mentioned, you've just been keeping secret till the very end of the meeting, because we're at the end of the meeting?
I think I might have.
All right, there we go.
Wouldn't it be smart to focus on the product or the service being awesome than to try to push it to people? Because I feel that, at least when we have awesome deals, we don't necessarily have to tweet about it because other people will.
Yeah, but what about the 90% of people that don't have awesome products?
They don't
They
have
still have
awesome
to
products.
survive.
That's
Spend more time
more
focusing
than
on the
what
product than
everyone's
tweeting about a
Always
crappy
be
product, I
awesome.
guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, if you have that challenge, then you should spend more time on the product than on the marketing of it.
I was like, the blog guy earlier was talking about, spend more time on making a great post instead of just churning out posts.
Yeah.
Do you see value in, like a company having a separate Twitter than individuals in the company, simply for the fact that each individual has a different role? It's like the company's main Twitter account, the way that I've just started using it. The main thing we do news feeds about the industry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But on my personal, I've tried to start doing more of like searching for PR information and marketing information.
I would
things
think
like
that from what we've heard here, the opinion's kind of mixed on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of always of the thought that, I definitely wouldn't want to use a company name as my username because it seems so impersonal. Charles is saying that's working fine for him and he's using it.
You asked something different though.
Yeah, it's
What-
different. It's
What
still.
Dawn asked is it okay if your employees are allowed to reflect on your company? And I'm a
In
little
their
divided.
role.
In their
In their
role.
role, I mean,
Yeah.
still company-wise.
Well,
I mean, obviously nothing so personal that it's.
Co-tweet and just everybody
Yeah,
can update the
co-tweets
company.
good too, but I've tried to do some research on this, 'cause it is a very kind of complicated thing. Like Zappos every employee has their own account, but they kind of, and then Coke has a different strategy on how they do it, and there's, everybody's got a different strategy, and it's your organization kind of has to come up with that on how you're gonna do it. But I believe Coke has brand standards on how their employees can what they can
How to not
tweet
get
and
fired.
how they can do it.
Yeah, you gotta go to your
But
company
other
law
people
policy.
like Zappos,
But
they
in
kind of have their own.
reality, do you know why
free will.
Zappos did that?
But they're.
Because they were funded by the same company that funded Twitter,
Really?
so.
Well,
there
but
was a little
it
bit
works for them.
influence.
They're really
There's-
Well, because like what
Yeah.
would appeal to him,
They're social.
or what he would talk about in
Right.
a technical sense is very different than what I would necessarily be talking about.
But I think as long as your organization and the people that are tweeting for your organization are under your name, have an understanding that don't screw up our company.
Right.
By posting stupid stuff or whatever.
And have non-competes because you're making it really easy to get poached. if you don't have that in place.
Which I've seen a teacher get fired because she bitched about the kids that she had to take care of every day. Because she didn't
Not
realize
smart.
everybody could read that.
Not smart. Number one rule of Twitter, don't tweet drunk.
Some brands and companies, like, they'll have a bunch of people who tweet for them, and then they like put like their little initials at the end of the tweet so you know who it came from, and their Twitter background says, you know, this is who's tweeting for this account, so that you know like who's tweeting. I don't know.
So you
the
can
Twitter
set it up
background
that way,
works
so
on
you
your
can,
Twitter.
okay.
Yeah, and then you know like this person said this and this person said that, and this is who they are and what they do there, and like they all use like a tool like CoTweet that allows.
See, I'm
anyone-
like I said, I'm brand new to
Yeah.
even.
So like that's like it's one strategy, or you
Yeah.
could all have it like anonymous where it's from different people, or I mean even somebody like Britney Spears, like look at her page. I mean this is a stupid example, but I mean she has a brand and she has like her different people in her organization tweet for her Twitter account, and sometimes when she actually tweets or somebody writes her tweet for her, it's signed like Britney, you know, but otherwise it's signed with like the initials of like whoever is, or the name of whoever is actually
The
tweeting
real
that.
Britney Spears.
Yeah. So like that's a way to say like, yeah, this is company news, but it's also it's from this particular person.
Oh, well, thanks to the panel.
It's really
Please.
Yeah.